Hello and welcome to Nerdrunners. I'm Stef, and joining me today is my runner in crime, Archduke of Anarchy, Prince of Bad Publicity, and Lord High Imperator of Imps. It's Mark!
Hello everyone! It's another
Mark.
sterling introduction.
I try my best, I really do. How are things?
Things are very, very good. I got to speak at my first games conference the other day, which was really awesome.
Ooh, how did that go?
I went really well, thank you. It was only about 100 or so people in the audience. And I had a few of the organisers come up to me afterwards and go, "Oh, I heard a rumour about you earlier," and it's just like, people are saying this is your first time ever giving a talk in a conference. It's like, I don't believe that. You came across really well. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Once again, the humble brag is real, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I was quite nervous about it. I was a little bit worried, but I was talking about accessibility, so at least I kind of had the feeling that at least I should be able to answer any questions that people fielded me, because I'm fairly knowledgeable on the subject.
You half knew about what you were talking about.
Yeah, which is you need at least 50% to kind of function properly. So, but no, it was really good. It was the videos will probably go up on YouTube at some point, and then I can watch myself back and go, oh, it's awful. What am I doing? Why am I gesticulating so much? This is terrible.
I look forward to re-editing that with the Benny Hill soundtrack behind it.
Look forward to watching that. But the weirdest thing about it was, because obviously I know a lot of people who go to these kind of conferences and stuff like that, and I'm used to seeing people tweet photos of a speaker at the kind of podium with their slides behind them in the background, and then people were mentioning me in their tweets, and so I'm getting to see myself up there in these pictures. But obviously, because I'm massively immature, all my slides had like references to The Simpsons on it. So
Well, it's a cultural touchstone, I suppose.
yeah, I had one with South Park on it as well, and then some.
A bit of blue for the dads.
Well, no, it's because I needed because I was talking about legible text size in video games and reading on screen text, and kind of how I came to the realization that because there's nothing really in gaming at the moment, and so you sit about 3 meters away from TV, and to draw a parallel, you sit exactly 6 meters away from an eye chart when you go to the opticians. So it's like, right, I need some pictures to demonstrate people playing video games and people at the opticians. And literally, like, the only kind of good image that I could find was like Cartman having his eyes tested. I was like, yeah, that'll do. I need a silly picture for this slide. So then obviously I got a picture of the 4 kids from South Park playing games with Towley standing next to them as well.
Naturally.
But yeah, I was really good. So yeah, really, really awesome. And then I banged my toe on the corner of the bed and heard a very loud click. And I was slightly worried that I'd broken it, as I remembered how it happened previously.
As you've done previously by kicking soft things.
It was the wooden boundaries and borders of a footstool, and it hurt like hell.
Yeah.
But no,
let's call it what it's commonly known as, Mark. It's a puff. You kicked a puff, and
you make it sound like it's all pillowed and cushioned. There's actual.
It was all
wood.
Pillowed and cushioned.
Not around the edge where I strode into it.
You're around the edge.
But the weirdest thing was, it was the 4th toe on my right foot, so it's like I don't have a toe as a point of reference anymore for what that toe should look like. That was the one I broke. That was the one I broke on my left foot. So I was like, well, at least it's not pointing in the wrong direction like that one did when I broke it. So I guess I'm okay.
You should have texted me. I would have Snapchatted you a picture of my toe.
So, Steph, quick! What does the 4th toe on your right foot look like? I really, really need a point of reference.
You know what? I'd have done it, and I'd have done it without questioning.
I know. Yeah. How about you? How have you been?
Oh, I'm good. I'm actually there's light at the end of the tunnel at work, which is kind of cool. Like, I'm sorry, I can't talk about what I do. I'm not a spy, I promise.
I still think you are.
I know, but I'm not. I just can't talk about it. But yeah, you know how usually I get around and I don't really have a lot of time to play Netrunner in person. Well, this week I've actually managed to get to play some Netrunner in person, which is fucking phenomenal.
Woohoo! Awesome. So how are the games and the decks doing for you?
Oh, man. I guess we should talk about what I'm playing. So, after trying to build the cheesecake deck, it doesn't work. Yeah, and it's going to be a work in progress, I think. One of those things. But I've gone back to playing my old school, new school Whizzard deck.
Oh, the one that definitely wasn't looking for a job.
Yes.
But is also exactly pretty much the same deck as looking for a job.
Yeah, pretty much. It's but with slight modifications. I'm not entirely sure what. I've swapped in and out some cards from newer data packs, because that's the other thing. I finally have all the data packs, so I'm up to date.
Fantastic.
For the next 5 minutes or so. But the yeah, it's again, it's a stonking deck, and it has answers to pretty much everything. It gets you into a position where you have lots of money and all the trashy things and all the draw. And you're like, okay, you can't keep me out.
Do you still have Skulljack in there?
Yep, Skulljack, Net-Ready Eye, still in there. Skulljack is actually just it's an MVP of the deck if you're going up against asset heavy decks. So I was up against an HB earlier in the week, and they could not get anything out for the life of them because they couldn't keep me out and they couldn't keep me from trashing their stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. And then Net-Ready Eyes to boost your solid strength icebreakers, which is a lot of fun. Yeah, so I'm still enjoying it. I love Whizzard. I don't think I'm ever getting bored of Whizzard. And the more Anarch cards that come out for me to play with, the more I'm kind of like, ooh, I can do this and this and this and this and this. But I'm still I need to go out and buy additional like single cards from the starter set.
Yeah.
Like I still only have one Grimoire, so in this deck I've got a Grimoire, a turntable, and a Boxy. Because either one of them are just funny, like just throwing down a Boxy out of Anarchy, and they're just like, I don't know what you're doing.
But because I looked into getting singles because I decided to get a second core set because I was frequently running 2 runner decks and 2 corp decks, so it kind of made sense to get a second core set to have the Shore Gambles and Hedge Funds and all those other cards that kind of just go straight into a deck. But then I did a bit of research and realised that to buy the one of the 11, I think, unique cards from the core set, it would cost me about as much as buying another core set. So I'm one of those idiots who owns 3 core sets for Netrunner.
Nice. Well done.
But, it means I can have my 3 Sands in my deck for my MBN deck, so it makes me happy.
And I suppose additional hedge funds and Shore Gambles.
Yeah, it's it's quite nice having the the kind of the spare sets for the 3 ofs, because you can get away with 2 sets because obviously you get 2 of the main 3 ofs, and then anything that's a 2 of, which is pretty much most of the Anarch cards, you get up to 4 of. But then when you get a 3rd core set, they become 2 3 ofs again. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, in the end, I think getting a 3rd core set is actually quite good. Just, I was very good and lucky in a way because I timed it in those. I ended up buying my additional core sets in the kind of drought periods between the big box expansions and then the next the first pack of the next cycle. So there's always like 2-3 months where there wasn't a new data pack out. It's like I can justify this. It's been a while since I bought something.
I don't know, man. So yeah, it's still again. I'm amazed by the community that I come across wherever I am playing this game, and it's nice to be able to play in person again because it does lead to just fun mind games, especially when you're the corp. Because I've been playing Trixie Jinteki Biotech deck as my corp deck.
Awesome.
Which has led to lots of fun things. So it's running a lot of side game stuff, some HB like Cerebral Overwriters in there just for shenanigans, and some Wayland stuff. I'm running Scorch in there as well because people don't expect Scorch Earth.
That's true.
Out of Jinteki, and especially if you put in what's the card? Can't remember.
Snare.
Vamp for time. That's the one. Yes, thank you. Jesus, man. Snare and Cerebral Cast is the other one I was thinking of.
Oh, is that the...
it's the side game where you can either take if you lose the run and choose to take a brain damage or a tag. And invariably they take a tag. So it's a bit, it's kind of a fun thing. And there's nothing, again, I don't think there's anything quite as fun as mooshing out traps. Like... mooshing out some a cerebral overwriter. It's like, oh dear, what have I done?
Yeah. Well, it's like when Christian was on the other week, and I was talking about you can motion out a trap if it fails. That you just put a shell corp on it, and then that shell corp is basically safe for the rest of the game, which is quite nice.
Oh, and I did manage the other day. I was playing against a max deck that's very similar to yours.
Oh yeah.
Which is they throw all the cards into the bin, and it's great. Except they were running through, and then I scored a Chronos project, and both their levies were in the bin, and most of their tools.
Oh.
Like, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not that sorry, but I'm sorry. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and the people forget when you're playing Jinteki Biotech, they forget the powers of the cards, and at the start of the game, like people were asking me, were saying, remind me what they do again.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, one can advance, and one can shuffle archives, and the other one can do net damage. I'm like, oh, so which one are you picking? Like, I'm not telling you. Why would I tell you?
That's the whole point.
And then the whole game, they're cautious, and then they get into it and they forget, and all of a sudden they go at the end of their round, they go down to 2 cards in hand, like boom. It's always fun.
Yeah.
So what have you been playing recently? Because I know that this is going to be a half-hour discussion on what Faust is, which is why I am prepared to sit here quietly while you go on about Faust.
Oh man, I'll get to Faust in a minute. I was continued with my Blue Sun and my Geist decks for a little while this last couple of weeks. I even took them to a tournament recently. It's just a small one at Leisure Games in London here. And I thought, it's we're not near any major events. People will probably be bringing their janky decks and not like their super competitive tournament ready ones that like the last time I was at a tournament, which was just before Nationals. But I did atrociously badly. So my Blue Sun one it's been fairly strong, and I realised I was having a bit of a code gate problem in so much that. Because Yogg is really back in the meta now,
Woo!
It basically meant that my Data Pikes and my Enigmas in my Blue Sun deck did fuck all once the Yogg hit the table. And obviously you can bounce it back for money, but when you're trying to keep the runner out, as I think at one point in the Blue Sun deck, every single piece of ice had end the run on it, except Data Raven, which practically ends the run anyway.
Yeah.
Half the time. I changed it up and I put in Wormhole, and then I thought... Well, Nebula's quite good as well, and so obviously Wormhole's the resolve a subroutine on some other ice, and I've mostly just got End the Runs, so I was like, I'll try and put some other stuff in there as well. And I thought, well, while I'm at it, I'll put Asteroid Belt in there, take out Hadrian's Wall, and actually the Space Ice is really good in most decks, especially here, because a lot of the ice in my Wayland, in my Blue Sun deck, is quite expensive, and a lot of it relies on kind of having a bit of a financial lead. But with the Space Ice, you can just install Advance, and then next turn you can res the Asteroid Belt for 3 credits. It doesn't matter that if you pick it up, you only get those 3 credits back and not the 9 of the printed res cost. But still, being able to res like a 6 strength end the run barrier is for 3 credits is pretty darn good. I put in the Space Ice and still had Capital Investors in there and obviously all the fun renovations. And the first runner I came up against was Valencia, who
Woo!
I was thinking, well, this isn't too bad. I've got oversight AI. I can probably survive this. But I think it was either turn 1 or turn 2. They dropped Magnum Opus on the table, and I was like, oh,
wow,
okay. And it was there was nothing I could do. Like if I oversighted anything, they'd have the money with Opus. If they made any type of run, whether I baited them out or it was a proper blackmail run, they had more money to avoid the seesaw strays. The minute I tried to score something out, they just found another way to get their blackmail and play that out. And it was just like, there was nothing I could do. It was so bad. And then in my second game, I was up against Kit, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I've got some new code gate funkiness in this, and, I've got lots of cool barriers, and like I can if I stack it right and get the code gates on the outermost, then her ability's spent, she hits a barrier, that's it. And not only that, Kit with Gordian Blade, which basically means if you put 2 code gates after each other, like that strength that she gets from the first one obviously continues through to the second one, so it's like, alright, I have to put my weak code gate out later than my strong code gate. So it's all, it was awful. And not only that, but Kit dropped a fucking magnum opus really early as well. It's like, why can't I win these games?
Well, at least you're in faction with that.
That is true, yeah, but I still wasn't expecting it. And just like, the turns where both Val and Kit were just like gain 8, gain 8, gain 8, and I'm sitting there with Capital Investors going, gain 6? It's like, you're going to outmoney me.
Sounds like me.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
You go ahead. I'm going to sit here and make money.
It was bad. And they were the first 2 games, and then the first 2 games I had playing Geist. I didn't do. I almost won. The first one was against ETF HB, and I came very close. And it kind of came down to like a glory run on the last turn on R&D to try and do it because I didn't think I could get into their server. And then later, when I asked about the ice that was protecting the remote, I actually could have got in there if I'd have timed everything right with my breakers and stuff, and then spending 3 clicks on the Turing that was at the base. But obviously, I wasn't to know that it was 3 Invis pieces of ice. I was just thinking, I'm not going to get through there with like 5 cloud breakers out. It's just going to be horrendous. And then the second Geist game, we had to play really fast because the Blue Sun game went on. The Blue Sun versus Kit game went on for about 55 minutes of our 70-minute round. So I had to play ridiculously fast, and it was against PE. So I was like, right, cards at hit points, just run. And I got to 6 points, and I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I thought, you know what, we're getting close to time. Make as I run, and I hit a snare, which wiped out my hand. But before that, I saw a Neurally MP, and I was like, okay, so I'm dead next turn. So yeah, that was my fault for being hyper aggressive and running last click with a Maker's Eye, and not having nearly enough cards in hand. And the thing is, like,
we all make mistakes.
I know it was, but I was thinking if I'd have just like played really slowly for like 6 more minutes, I'd got a timed win out of it. And then I managed to get my my victories in my last game. I had a bye for the 3rd round, so in the 4th round, I ended up scorching the runner because I managed to get an Atlas with 2 tokens on it really early.
Nice.
So, I waited, and then at one point they went down to 3 cards in hand. It's all right. Seesaw Scorch, and then they're like, "Oh, but I've had worse." I'm like, "Sorry, it doesn't trigger with this instance because you're already on -1 cards."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, if it does trigger, I do have another Atlas counter, so I could just go fetch my other Scorch and kill you." So I was in a good position in that one if he'd managed to get the card draw. And then Geist won that game as well. It was against I think Fast Advance Near Earth Hub. Oh no, it wasn't. No, it was a Tag Storm deck, I think. And I was just because I remember because I was Data Raven, so I was obviously dropping forges to remove tags and stuff like that. So yeah, it ended up 2 wins, 4 losses. But considering the 2 corporation games I had to start the day with, I was so bad. But
you were proud to have got your 2 wins.
I was proud to get my 2 wins. But the funniest thing came when we went to the pub afterwards, and I played against this guy's noise deck. And so really early on, I put a underway renovation behind a hive. An underway renovation is a 3-1 public agenda, and that's every time you advance it, you mill one of the runner's cards. When you get to the 4th advancement, it becomes 2 of their cards from their stack. So I got to a point where I was milling noise, and it was the funniest thing ever. I think I milled about 12 cards before he ended up being able to get in and take the card from me. But I was like, I don't care. I milled 12 of your cards. Oh, it was good. And then just like stuff like, because he couldn't play any viruses to start milling things, because I was just milling all of his stuff, and he just didn't have time to do anything. But my hubris got in the way, and I stopped setting up because it was really early on in the game, stopped getting money, and just started slowly advancing the underway with the little money I had. So it came back to bite me later, but it was just funny at the start of the game. It was worth it to see the look on his face when I go, okay, I'll gain a credit and advance, so you mill 4 cards now. But yeah, other than that, it's been all about the Faust this last week.
What about that Faust? No Yogg.
Well, there is 1 Yogg in the deck, just in case.
God damn it, Mark! You've got to ruin my songs all the time.
I'm so sorry. All right, I'll take the Yogg out, and you can sing your song.
Thank you. Okay then, so do you want to wax lyrical about Faust while I go make a cup of tea, or...?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Alright, so
cool.
Faust
all
is...
right, then. See you in a minute.
Faust is amazing. Because I've come off the back of playing Geist and basically running for free credit free, because obviously you sack your breakers, but in Faust, it's sacking cards from your hand. And I've twinned Faust with Origami to basically give me 14 cards in hand to play with, and it's great. I love it so much. Because it's in Quetzal, and with Faust, David, and E3 feedback implants out of Quetzal, you can pretty much get past any piece of ice they res. The only issue is when they start double stacking barriers, as one corporation put 2 wraparounds on their R&D. That really slowed me down. But other than that, oh boy, Faust is good. And just thinking like, okay, I can't use this card right now, or I don't really need to install my Yogg. They've just got, they've not got any code gates. I'll put Yogg in the bin for now, and I can always clone chip it out later, and just that Yogg then feeds the Faust. The only thing that I'm a little worried about is I have a tendency to, in my head, create a mini paradox and feed Faust to Faust. And I realise that giving up a Faust to get through ice with Faust is kind of in my head, some kind of priority, so I always do that first. But then that means if Faust gets trashed, probably my other 2 copies of Faust are already in the bin, having been trashed by using Faust. So that's the thing I need to be careful of now, is feeding away all of my breakers too soon. But no, it's a lot of fun, and I think, like I text you, it's like Corps are now asking me how many cards in hand to work out if I can get into their server. It's like, shit, alright, he's got 8 cards in hand, he can boost this high and break this many subroutines. It's really good. I'm really, really enjoying Faust right now. I think Quetzal's probably one of the better runners to run him out of. I had a quick chat with Edie from Run Last Click fame, and he's got a Faust deck out of Whizzard that's kind of utilising Beach Party and Game Day and those cards to boost the max hand size and do crazy shenanigans like that. Whereas I'm all about
everyone loves Beach Party Game Day. Everybody loves it. I'm
all about Wild Side Pancakes and Origami, which is just good. It's just good fun. And also, I realised it's somewhat thematic that Origami's in the deck, because Quetzal's all about birds. And Origami are little paper cranes. So I just imagine like she's sitting there, just destroying her programs whilst making these tiny origami crane Quetzalcoatl type birds that just sitting there. That's how she passes her time.
Yeah, sure.
And I also have Eco Mind in there for shits and giggles, because
why not?
I love that card, and I've wanted to play it for so long and not really found the right deck for it. And since I'm like bloating my hand size anyway for Faust, I realised, I could do that. And the good thing about it is, to be fair, I've never really needed to put it down in a game so far, because, like I say, once Faust and David and maybe a medium are on the table, that's more or less what you need to play the game, or to start really pressuring the corp and start scoring. But just being able to think, all right, so I've got 9 or whatever, up to 14 MU to play with if you have all 3 origamis out. It's like, all right, cool. So that means I think partly it's because I really wanted Morningstar in the deck, and that 2 MU really pisses me off about it. So right, if I have 14 MU, I can absolutely keep Morningstar in play.
Yeah, but then you'll run into a Cortex lock.
It's funny you should say that. I ran into a Cortex lock on, I think, turn 1 in the last game I played, so it only did 4 damage to me. But if that's the case, I just put Origami down and just take the net damage and walk through with like 10 more cards in hand.
Yeah, it'd just be funny. It's like, poof.
Yeah, just super dead. You die 3 times over with the Cortex lock.
I kill you, your family, your dog, your dog's family. It's like you've clicked on the worst popper pad in the world.
Yeah.
Boing.
But yeah, I'm super enjoying Faust right now. Definitely out of Quetzal, it's really good. I'd be interested to talk to Edie some more next week and find out how his Whizzard version's going, because he said it wasn't performing as well as he'd like. So yeah, I think he was a bit taken with the Quetzal and E3 and Wildside adjusted chronotype variant. But I mean, even that in itself I love the fact that 2 individuals have looked at Faust and gone, I know how to make this work, and come up with 2 completely different decks in 2 different identities.
That's cool.
That's why I like Netrunner. It's such a good thing about it. It's like, Even when it was like my Geist deck, and a lot of the comments were, "Oh, have you tried this? Have you tried this? Have you tried this card? Whoa, what about this card?" I was like, I mean, I like the deck the way I built it, but absolutely go ahead and build it with mass install and auto scripter, and do your crazy thing with Geist, because you have all these great ideas about other cards that will work with it, and it's just it's really cool. So yeah, I'll shut up about Faust now, but I'm going to publish the deck list later, and I think every paragraph has the word Faust in it, so. I got a little bit excited when I was writing it yesterday.
You're a strange man.
I am, but
I like it.
It's because I've been in Criminal so long with Leela and then Geist, and I'm back home in the Anarch faction.
It's like a warm, soothing, horrible blanket.
I've got to say, like, I felt really liberated just being like, oh, there's a Lotus Field. All right, I'll trash 2 cards from hand and get through that. Just it feels right to me. That's the kind of Anarch.
Yeah.
That's why I belong in Anarch. But yeah, they spent 5 resing a Lotus Field. It's like, yeah, I'll spend 2 cards to get through that. Okay, score that agenda. Then the next turn you get 2 cards with Wild Side. It's like, yeah, I'll run again. Trash those 2 cards.
Right. Well then, I suppose we should move on to our feature of the week.
Yes. Since we're on episode 13, what better time?
Yep.
To talk about luck in Netrunner.
Woo! I don't know why I did the woo just there. It felt like the right thing to do.
It did. I think it went well, and I think a few more of our...
Don't patronise me, you prick.
I was going to say, I think more of our sentences should end with the other person giving a woo.
But yes, you turn to the fabulous Netrunner community.
Yes.
For their stories on luck, bad luck, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
Good looking, I think.
Well, we are a handsome community, the Netrunner bunch. I can't speak for York, but my God, London, we're a bunch of handsome guys and gals.
You know what? I haven't been in such a long time. I wouldn't know. Oh, dear. But anyway,
you just go off the avatars of the Jinteki.net players.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, all the little spaceships.
Yeah.
If it's green, it's handsome. If it's blue, it's sexy. I don't know. So we got a lot of stories, and we've got some of our own. So, Mark, should we start with our own stories, or start with everyone else's stories?
Let's go through a couple of our own first, because we have some. I've got a few funny ones, and I'm sure you have a few good ones as well. But yeah, the first one I wanted to mention, because this kind of, in a way, was a swing of good luck for the runner to and bad luck for me to good luck for me and bad luck for the runner. And it was a time I was playing Argus and the 6 agenda variant where you have government takeover and then like 5 3-pointers in there. So I don't remember exactly what I did turn 1, but I definitely left R&D undefended because I had no agendas in hand. There are 6 in the deck. It's like, they're not going to hit anything. I can leave R&D open. And obviously they run R&D first click, and in one of their clicks, and they take the government takeover and score 6 points. I'm like,
naturally,
right? This deck is. I'm not going to win now. they need one more.
This deck is bullshit.
It's like they need one more agenda to win. I need to score 3 to win at this point, and there are 5 left in the deck. So I'm very disheartened. I think I've probably taken a bit of money on my first turn, and so what I do, then I top deck the next card. They didn't run R&D again, I don't think. So I think they got the 6 points, and they were like, okay, I know what deck he's running now, and I probably need to protect myself. But the next card I drew was a punitive counter-strike.
Yep.
It's like, oh boy! Okay, I'm going to play this now and destroy you. So that was quite a nice good luck, bad luck swing. I have quite a few stories of people being either lucky or unlucky against me as well. I think one of my favourite ones, I think I mentioned this before, was I was playing RP Grail at the time, and I had 2 snares and an Excalibur in hand, and the runner ran my hand either 2 or 3 times in a turn, and hit the Excalibur every single time. They completely missed the snares. I'm sitting there with enough money to flatline them to hell, and they miss it. They hit the Excalibur, they hit the Excalibur, they hit the Excalibur, and then next turn, I think they must have parasited away my HQ defense or something like that. That's why they were getting in so easily. And then next turn, I top deck the 3rd snare from my deck, and he runs 4 more times, and it's not until the 4th time that he hits this 1 snare. So I think he hit like 6 or 7 of the same Excalibur in a row before hitting the snare. It's like that. There's astronomically high, unbelievably high odds that would actually happen. It's crazy. He must have, I think, because he was just the Excalibur over and over again. He must have thought, oh, there has to be other stuff in HQ, and I'm just seeing one card. So I'll keep going, I'll keep going, I'll keep going.
Or you got 3 Excaliburs in hand.
Yeah, well, I think at the time, obviously, Grail RP was a fairly new thing, so I think most people think it's just a 1-of, maybe a 2-of maximum, and it's still fairly early in the game, I think. So yeah, it just like kept pounding it and just missing this. I'm sitting there just like sweating bullets, thinking, hit the snare, hit the snare, oh, you picked the Excalibur. And it's like he's seeing me probably look disappointed every time he pulls the Excalibur out again. It's like, oh, okay, interesting tell. What else? Oh yeah, recently, this is recent terrible luck, is because I've been playing Geist and running Maker's Eye and same old thing. Obviously, it's a big part of the deck, and I think I've whiffed on about 10 to 12 consecutive Maker's Eye runs in that Geist deck across all the games that I've played. It's just been a horrendous bad luck in that multi-access from Maker's Eye. And even playing with Medium recently, I've had equally bad luck, just kind of constantly hitting... or assuming, like, checking HQ a bit, seeing there weren't any agendas, and then just hitting more and more non-agendas every time I multi-access and thinking, my god, I suck at multi-access. Yeah, I've got two more quick ones. The one of my favourite ones, and this is good luck for me, bad luck for the runner, is must be an RP, and I put a Cortex lock down, defending HQ, R&D, whatever it was, and the runner, I think, first click put down Desperado, second click ran at the ice, and immediately flatlined when I raised it. It's like, yep, that'll teach you for going to 5MU. And I think this is like the tiniest violin type of bad luck for me recently. But I really, really want to play Little Engine, and he's been in a lot of my decks. And every time I put him down, literally every game he goes down, someone puts a fucking knight on him. And it's like, I'm not going to res this for 5 for you to spend 4 and then gain 5. There is no logic in that for me. So to this day, I'm still yet to res Little Engine in a game.
Aww.
I know. So it's like, come on, it's 7 strength. Just put down a zoo or something. But no, it's like... And the thing is, in that game, like in the games, there've been other unresed ice, but they always seem to just unknowingly target Little Engine with a knight. And I'm sitting like, oh, for fuck's sake. Every time. Oh. How about you?
Oh, man. Well, in terms of good luck, bad luck, that swapped pretty quickly. There was the now legendary game between me and you, where I was playing my Sideways MBN, and it was a very close finisher. Yeah. And you were so close to decking me. I could see it in your eyes. Yeah. Your hands started to tremble. You got that top lip sweat. Yeah. You're desperate. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to beat you. And then on my last draw, I managed to pull out a Project Beal, and immediately like, yep, that's going down, put that, and then move over an Astro token, and I win. Oh, thank God. Because I don't think I'd have lived it down if I'd have lost you.
I know, I was just like, all your Jacksons were gone, you had like 2 cards left before you decked yourself. It's like, I can do this. Because that Ken Tenma deck I was playing was completely based on run economy, but because you'd closed accounts me, and then got your... City Surveillance, which is the asset where I either pay 1 or take a tag. It's like, well, I have no money to pay off this tag, so I keep getting the tags, and I can't run because you've got your dedicated response teams res. It's like, so I'm sitting there just like, gain 2 a turn, clear a tag, run, get another tag. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, that was a very good one. In terms of bad luck for me, I did... there was a toll booth outside of an HQ. I was like, okay, I've got 2 inside jobs in hand. Run, inside job. Hit a snare. Shit. Okay, draw up another card. Think they can't have another snare in hand. Run another inside job. Hit another snare. I've also legworked into like 2 snares before as well, which is just, I think it's something that everyone has to do because it's just like, oh, okay then. Yeah. I guess that's what I have to do here. More recently, the other day when I was playing with my weird Jinteki deck, I motioned out a card, and it just kind of sat there, and it was 5-all. I motioned it out behind a snowflake, and the runner goes for it. The side game failed, and I felt bad, Up until the point where I asked whether they wanted to access, and they said, "Well, of course I want to win the game." And I flipped it over, and it was a Project June bug, and I was like, fuck you! This is my house! You don't come into my house and tell me how to play!" And the crestfallen look, I was like, "Oh, your tears are delicious. The sadness." And then there are other times where I've just run into cards you wouldn't expect. I think those are my favourite times where it's just bad luck.
Yeah.
Like running into an Edge of World outside of an HB Glacier deck.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, I can only hold one card now. But yeah, it's and also top decking the cards you need like right then and there.
Yeah.
Which is always an amazing kind of. All I need is a code gate breaker. I know he's going to win if he. There it is.
Yeah, I had a game recently where it was just like sitting there with my. I was playing Fast Advanced NBN, and I was sitting there with my Biotic Labour in hand. I had the money. It's just like all I need to do is just get a 3/2 agenda off the top of my deck. It's just like no. Okay, next turn. Just need a 3/2. No. Oh, come on. And I think I must have secured R&D up well enough that they weren't running. Like third turn, it's like, thank God. All right, like boom, just throw them on the table. It's like, yes, Biotic for the win. Oh.
It's and just the steady good look of like sitting down for a game. And I don't know whether it's a reliable deck, which is just I don't think there's such a thing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's just my own stupid dumb luck of just having a prepaid Kate deck, and then the three prepaid voice pads are in the first few cards I draw.
Nice.
It's like, well, that's me set up. But yes, there are the other stories we got are equally as fun. Do you want to take up some reader mail?
Sure, I will start first.
Reader mail, reader posts.
One thing that I will just mention now is I found it really interesting how it seemed like the majority of the stories we got were all kind of either as runner or co-op winning in the first 1, 2, or 3 turns. Either multi-access wins or multi-access losses by hitting bad things, or snares and being agenda flooded. That seems to be like luck in Netrunner in like a very small nutshell. It's like bad luck equals snare, good luck equals leg working 3 agendas.
Well, I mean, it's stuff like I once played against my one of my friends, and it was an NBN Fast Advance. So of course, he's just drawing cards. So I think he drew 2 or 3 cards every turn. Yeah. So he'd draw 3 cards, I'd access R&D, that card would be an agenda. He'd draw another 3 cards, and then I'd access R&D, and then it would be an agenda. And he's like, what are you doing? Just screaming at me to stop.
Actually, that's something, just before we get into the reader mail, it's something I'm terrified. I've been going back to Near Earth Hub Fast Advance recently, and Errand Boy's in the deck. It's kind of like let's get all the cards I need now, or all the money back from rezzing it. And I've decided I'm not going to put it on R&D anymore, because I'm always terrified that no matter how many cards I draw with the subroutines, I'm always going to leave an agenda at the top of the deck for them to steal. So I think from now on, Errand Boy is just going to be HQ defense for me, where I can flood my hand with cards if I have lots of agendas, or just get money if I don't have agendas. Because just for my own sanity, I'm sitting there thinking, trigger first subroutine, draw a card. Oh shit, it wasn't an agenda. Maybe there's an agenda at the top now. Second subroutine, draw a card. Shit, not another agenda. Okay, right. I gain a credit for my third one. Then they hit an agenda, and you're like, for fuck's sake, no! And I'll just mention this quickly as well, because I'd forgotten about it when we were talking decks. Is again with my NEH Fast Advance, I played against a Gabe using pheromones this week. Which I was like, that's awesome for a start, because I've not seen that combination for a long, long time. And then he also had like security testing and Desperado out. And so he just kept hammering my HQ and getting 5 credits a turn from the security test Desperado Gabe, plus another counter for pheromones. And he was using those pheromones counters to pay through my Virgo, which is Trace 2, I can boost to Trace 5 to give him 2 tags. And he's like, well, me, I'm thinking there's no point boosting this to anything, because he can just break it with his like 8 pheromone counters that he has now. And then he's like, oh, and pop-up window, I'll use the pheromones for that as well. It's like, you're getting in for free and making 5 credits. This is crazy. Oh, I just thought I'd highlight that, because that was so, like, I mean, granted, I could have had better HQ defense, but he's just basically getting in just using pheromones, which is fantastic use of the card, I think.
Yeah, it's intuitive play.
Yeah.
Anyway, on with the reader posts.
I will start with Argon Wolf. So this is they've posted lucky and unlucky all in one story. So they say, I'm playing a small tourney at my... I always want to say flags when I read this, but it's Friendly Local Game Store, the acronym for that. Most of the series... Flugs.
Oh, is it my flugs?
Is that my flugs? So suddenly the Swede... No, let's not insult any Swedish listeners we might have by suddenly turning into...
Whoa! That's racist.
Well, it sounds a bit Swedish when you go flugs.
Only when
I put on a bad speech. No, right.
Only when you do it.
I'm going to spell it out.
I was just making a funny... Alright, we'll move on.
Right. So is that my Friendly Local Game Store? Most of the series players are driven to Chicago for the regionals there, and Argon Wolf couldn't make it because he was leaving town the next morning at 6 a.m. So it's him there and 3 others, and he was the most experienced player. I'm saying he or she was the most experienced player.
Vegetable.
It's like going to be a new thing now.
That carrot was the most experienced player.
Oh dear. Anyway, luckily, so Argon Wolf, they took a mulligan and they mulligan into a Nisei Mark II, 2 Future Perfects, a Utopia Fragment, and a Crick, which is over half their agenda points in one hand. Luckily, they drew a Quandary with a mandatory draw, and the game goes on, and their opponent kind of has a Yogg and all of their knight. And luckily, like the opponent's Yogg and all the knights were at the bottom 10 cards of their deck. So it's able to keep them out with just a Quandary of a HQ.
Wow.
And then set up a huge scoring server and just like throw the agendas in there, and they eventually won the game 7-5. So yeah, I think that goes back to what we were talking about ages ago with mulligans, of just like, if you end up like just being agenda flooded on your mulligan, just play it cool and just like hope you can draw into something no matter what. But again, yeah, so lucky that the Code Gate Breaker and Knights were like at the bottom of the opponent's deck. Otherwise, it might have been a very different story.
Cool. I have a little message here from Chuffedbot, our long-time vegetable listener, and he says, "Hey, he/she vegetable says, hey guys, it's your favourite vegetable, Chuffbot." I'm really glad he/she vegetable took that well. They. I'm just going to use they. Very pronouns. Anyway, lucky. My opponent makes a run on R&D about 5 or 6 turns in. He hits Kitsune. I show him a snare. Another snare was sitting on the board and he was holding 2 cards, so we figured he could afford to access the single card. Top deck to snare. And they're unlucky. Last round of the Swiss at Regionals last Saturday, my Kate deck had all of its programs except for Snowball in the bottom quarter of the deck. No SMC, no Mimic, no Zulu, and definitely no Faust. Just a Snowball. Oh dear me.
I've got another piece of feedback here from, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Taquito Bandit, I think. And they say, I managed to end up with all 3 Sure Gambles on 1 Street Peddler, which is a pain I know all too well after playing Street Peddler recently.
Oh, it's just upsetting.
Yeah. I know in my Geist deck I was running at one point just 9 events, I think. I think I upped it to 11 recently, put some inside jobs in to help with remotes. And yeah, just even getting like two events on that, let alone 3, is just like bad. But 3 Sure Gambles. It's like you can't even trash Street Peddler at that point. They just stay on the board with your 3 Sure Gambles there for it to hurt to the end of the game.
You start weeping openly.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I've got one from Cat Ears. Cat Ears says, playing as Valencia in my first tournament, got a keyhole in my hand, opponent is playing Foundry, and I started with Ice Credit. And I thought, if I run his HQ and drain from credits, I can install my keyhole and get 2 free ones on R&D. So they run, the court spends all 6 credits to res a Merlin, fetches a Merlin because he's Foundry, shows 2 Merlins to me, die first click. And they go on to say, perhaps it was mostly carelessness since I was playing against Foundry, but I feel like dying first click is somewhat of an achievement. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, Cat Ears. You should be proud. Like, face planting into something like that, you either laugh or you get angry. And I think laughing is the best way to deal with it.
Absolutely, yeah. That's just bad. Like, I can't remember. I think it might be an Edie actually who told me that, because I think I played against him with my Foundry deck when it came out. He was like, "Oh yeah, just you do realize if you have 2 Merlins in your opening hand, you have like a first turn kill if they hit the Merlin. So make sure you have 6 credits." I'm like, "Oh wow, I hadn't thought of that before." It's like, yeah, it's bad. I've got another piece here from Kite Screech. So they were showing a friend, Netrunner, kind of doing their introducing someone new. And so they set up. Kite Screech was the runner. The first turn, Kite Screech make his eyes their friend and gets 3 agendas equaling 7 points. Fortunately, though, it didn't put off their friend. They're still playing Netrunner. So yeah, that's a bit unlucky in a teaching game that you would go. So this is Netrunner. Oh, and it's over, and I won.
That's why whenever I teach Netrunner, I always stack the deck, always rig it so that they'll get certain cards at certain times.
Yeah.
And I usually say usually you'd shuffle this, but I'm going to teach you the game, and I don't want to kill you too quickly, or I don't want you to win too quickly. You need to explore everything this game has to offer. PJ Nifty was at 5 agenda points versus Personal Evolution, with 2 R&D interfaces installed, 3 feature AIs in score piles, along with the 1 pointer. 1 scenario is in HQ, as shown by an earlier celebrity gift. Start of the turn, draw up to 6, thanks to staying in the hotel. Corpse at 8 credits, run R&D, get in easy. Snare, Chronos Protocol. Laugh and shake hand.
I also love the phrase "staying at the hotel."
Yeah, I started doing that. I was looking through my deck the other day. It's like, I need to go to the hotel. Where are the hotels in this place? And they're my opponents look at me like I've gone mad. Like, there it is. Like, throw down the Earthrise. It's the best. They leave mints on your pillow.
You wake up with 2 new programs in your hand.
Yeah, constantly waking up with stuff slipped under the door. I've woken up with a whole new computer there before. It's amazing.
Yeah, when they deliver that monolith, it's just crazy service.
It's that truck out back. I heard it was recycled from a little girl down the street. She got grounded because of the local brownouts. Anyway. I
want to hear your monolith fanfiction at some point.
Oh God, I look. If Run Last Click hadn't done it first, I'd have done it. As we've always discussed, yes. They are about an episode or 2 ahead of us.
It's because they run First Click and get all the good ideas.
Yeah, we're just hanging around running Last Click.
Great. I've got another piece of feedback here from Dodge Pong. So they say, playing Chaos Theory Stim Shop versus a funky RP deck. The Corp installs advances the winning agenda.
I just think of Replicating Perfection, but with disco balls. Bass playing in the background as you rock it out. It's funky RP.
I want that to be a thing now. Maybe we can do Netrunner theme nights. Instead of playing cyberpunk music, we play funky 70s disco.
Oh, have you never played Netrunner to jazz?
No.
Oh, it's amazing. It puts a whole new bent on the situation. Everyone's really mellow. It's like, yeah, man, whatever. It's cool.
See, I like playing when I'm on Jinteki.net. I put on M4 Part 2 by Faust, the Mass Effect 1 credits music. Because I think that's really kind of cool cyberpunky type music.
I put on cheesy pop to you, so you can hear it over the speakers and get annoyed.
Anyway, back to Dodge Pong and their funky RP
Sorry,
game.
Dodge Pong.
So the Corps installed advance the winning agenda into a remote server they can't get in at all. Dodge Pong's at 5 points, and the only things left in R&D that will win them the game are 2 future perfects. So it's not looking good. And there's also a Caprice there guarding R&D, so it's even more not looking good. And to top it off, there's expensive eyes in front of R&D, so really this is oh my god, what's the point type play. Luckily for Dodge Pong, they have 2 R&D interfaces, so he gets the money, and I love this. I do a YOLO stim hack R&D last click.
God.
Best phrase, I think.
I hate that.
So they, I suppose you only live once. I'll chop off a bit of my brain. It's fine. So they win the Caprice side game, and the first card is a future perfect. Unfortunately, Dodge Pong loses that side game, but the third card in the R&D is another future perfect, and they win the side game. So victory in the end, after much thinking that it would never happen. So yeah, just goes to show R&D, they bleed. You can kill them. To paraphrase Predator. What's the film where they say you don't have to kill the god, you just have to make them bleed? I feel that's the kind of thing with RP.
That's 300.
300.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, with the giant Persian dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's how I feel about RPs. You don't have to win. You just have to make them bleed in a game to show that they're not a god. They have flaws. Anyway. Got some a nice message here from a friend of the show, Christian, of Teamwork Cast fame. So he says, recently playing with Silhouette and one of each breaker. He got some of his programs trashed with power shutdown, but no worries. He'd splashed 1 copy of Deja Vu and had plenty of same old thing ready to go. He starts digging for the deja vu. It turned out to be literally the last card in his deck. And I know that pain in the tournament I went to a few months ago. Kronos Project took away 2 of my keyholes in my discard pile from my max deck, and the last keyhole was the last card in my stack. I was like, right, well, there's no point using this now. I'm not getting into R&D for cheap anyway.
There's an interesting one here from Jezza129, which is playing on Octagon. It says, Octagon looked today as a runner, various NEH. They drew 3 times, no ice. Ran the remote they played, scored, ran hands, scored, ran to R&D, scored, ran the archives, scored. 7 points, 4 clicks.
Wow. That's efficient running at its best.
Yes.
That's 6 points more than you would have got for playing a notoriety on your last click.
And then a various, I think. The unlucky one, Jinteki Biotech leaves R&D open turn 1. I check it and eat and steal a fetal, run it again, hit a snare, clear the tag, draw a card, then he flips a brewery and kills me turn 2. His lucky one, he won 8 Psy games in a row once.
Wow.
I know. I said he. Vegetable ran.
Yeah.
Won 8 Psy games in a row once.
That's quite impressive to win 8 in a row. I don't think...
Yeah.
I'm lucky if I win 1 in a row.
I'm curious, how do you play your Psy games? I know this is... Do you always bet the same number? Do you just randomly pick one? Do you try in some mad dog poker shit?
Well, it depends on the money situation on the board. If I think the Corp has enough money to bet 2 and not really care about it, then I'll probably... I don't know, it's really difficult. I think I just have sometimes these gut instincts of like... I think a lot of the time it is 0, just to be like a mini tax on the Corp, especially if I know if I can get in there for cheap or free again. To kind of, if it's the top card of R&D and it's unprotected, I can just keep running in, keep betting 0, and then they'll keep paying something. Although sometimes I will just kind of throw a 1 in there after a few zeros, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Although I did play recently against a Nisei division, and they rezzed a Marcus Batty on me, and because I'd already lost 2 side games earlier with them betting 1. Because I thought, they're going to bet 0 and just gain a credit. But no, they bet 1 and netted. Obviously, they got the credit back. So I was like, I bet they bet 1 for a 3rd time on Batty. So I bet 1. And thankfully, they bet 1 as well. It's just like, that's some good reading of my opponent.
It's the rare, wild Marcus Batty, which I've yet to see out there.
But no, I don't necessarily have a system. A lot of the time, it is betting 0. Sometimes, if I'm feeling crazy confident, I might bet 2 if I think the Corp's really going to bet 2. But yeah, it's either kind of lots of 0s followed by maybe a wildcard 1 credit or a couple of 2s. And again, it depends if I'm the corporation. If I'm the corporation, I don't know. Again, it depends how much money the runner has. Sometimes it's an easy 2 to keep them out because I know the runner probably doesn't want to spend 2 otherwise. I don't think I ever really bet 0 as the corporation though, because I think it's too safe a bet for the runner to bet 0. So I think you always really want to be betting, at least in my opinion, 1 or 2. Yeah. How about you? Do you have any kind of side game mantra?
It depends who I'm playing against. If I'm playing against my friend Luca, I always bet 0 because he never puts 0 down. Because I've always got money, and he's like, well, he's not going to put. Yes, he is. He hasn't cottoned on yet either. But for most people, I'll probably play 1. Like most of the time, I'll play 1 just because I think I'll leave them to second guess. Like I'll just make my decision as the side game flips. Like, all right, I'm just picking this, and I'll stick with it. I won't even think about it. I'll just put my hands on the table and immediately bring them back up.
Yeah.
And I think because of the speed, they assume I bet 0.
Ah, that's interesting. So kind of double bluffing with like a whole kind of interpersonal meta game going like...
Oh yeah, all kinds of bluffs.
Yeah, so like, he's really all quick, so he must have no credits in his hand, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that...
I've got just 2 last ones I wanted to read out. So we had Zakna Fiend. I think that's how you pronounce your username. And they say, worst luck at the Rochester, New York regionals. It was match 3 or so, and they were already doing poorly. Playing a standard Jinteki RP, and they mulligan into 3 agendas, and 1 ice and 1 econ card. And then their mandatory draw is a 4th agenda.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, 4 agendas, 1 ice, 1 econ in hand, and they think, right, I'm going to read this basically as they've written. It's like, I need Jackson or I die. Gotta play it cool. I know. I'll not ice HQ. So they ice R&D and play the econ. Then they draw So the ice R&D, play the econ, and draw a card for their third click, and it's another agenda. So they're now up to 5 agendas in hand.
Yay!
By luck, they were playing against Leela, and the opponent playing Leela decided on the first turn to just set up shop and didn't run at all. And amongst other things, put down a security testing and spent the next 2 rounds. They spent the next 2 rounds sweating bullets. Zach Nafine did, searching for something, anything, just not an agenda. While trying not to make it look too obvious, they had a handful of agendas. Luckily, the Leela player kept targeting HQ security testing, which is just the best luck you can really have. It's like, I'm not going to access your hand of cards. I'm going to take 2 credits instead. However, they did lose the game badly in the end, but not quickly, and definitely the least lucky game they've had. And the last one I wanted to read out was from...
I was going to say, interesting fact, I'm fairly sure that's Zach Nafine, or I've always pronounced it Zach Nafine, that's Dritz Erden's dad.
Whose dad, sorry?
D&D!
Oh, it's a D&D thing.
Yes.
Cool. I'll pretend to get that reference. Yes.
I'm just trying to get more... I just want him to write in and go, yes, you got it right, or no, and I failed.
Well, cool. Let us know if your name is from D&D, Zach Nafine.
Come on.
And Steph can talk D&D on the podcast more.
I won't.
And lastly, a message from Grog Boxer, which is an awesome name as well. And they say, this is ridiculous and happened to me just yesterday. So they were playing as Reg Max against RP, and they Chronosed him. He'd lost both Corrodas, but could get into R&D with Medium. The corporation is 5-0 up, and they installed Advanced, a Future Perfect into a remote. And this is why I find it interesting, because they say they had Human First installed, which is the resource that came out in Order and Chaos, which is where you get credits equal to the number of agenda points just scored or stolen. I think it's scored or stolen. So yeah, which is an interesting card, which I've not seen played at all, so which is kind of why I wanted to bring this story out as well. And they say that's the only change to the kind of the Reg Max shell that they'd used. So they're starting out at no credits and no medium counters. Click 1, take 6 off Catty. So they're at 6 credits now.
6 credits.
Click 2, run R&D, go through a toll booth. I really love the fact you've put the actual maths in here as well. So they run R&D, go through toll booth, -3, so there's 3 credits.
As if we won't believe them.
Well, it's just, it helps you follow the story more. So they break it with Yogg, so they've just lost 3 credits here. And they steal a Nisei, so the 3 credits they were on, plus the 2 credits they gained from Human First, puts them to 5. And they're now at 1 medium counter. Click 3, run R&D, take away another 3 for the toll booth, see a Future Perfect, win the side game. Interestingly, they paid 1. And that left them with 1 credit plus 3 from Human First, so exactly 4 credits. And the next card down was NAPD, and they just put win. Boom. So yeah, that is just goes. I mean, it's the best case scenario, but Human First kicking ass in that deck.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Especially when you keep losing your credits to toll booth, and then you make them back by stealing the agenda, which is quite awesome, I think. Thank you, everyone who sent us your good and bad luck stories in. Again,
thank you, all our little vegetables.
It's going to be a thing now, isn't it?
I hope so.
The Nerdrunners vegetable community. Obviously, we'd have liked to read out more, and we'll definitely link the Reddit post in the show notes, so you can go and check out all the other ones that we didn't get a chance to read, and comment more as well. Because even after the show, we're still interested in good and bad luck stories, because let's face it, Netrunner is all about dealing with the shit that you get out of the draws that you make out of the deck that you so long spent thinking this is going to be amazing, and then all of a sudden you draw 5 agendas and you think, why? Or actually, no. Just before we round out the show, this was this ties everything up neatly now. But I was playing with my Fast Advance NEH deck on Tuesday. And I was playing against a Valencia, and I was like, oh, right, cool, right. I played against a Valencia the other day. I now have first-hand experience of being blackmailed to shit. So I was like, right, I know what I need to do. Just be ballsy as fuck. So first turn, I installed my Astro, and then put it behind a wraparound, and probably took a credit or something like that for my 3rd click. And I thought, right, I just have to... If I can score this Astro... It means I can fast advance everything else from hand for the rest of the game, and Valencia's blackmail won't mean shit. All I have to hope is they don't have blackmail in the opening hand, otherwise I'm screwed. And I spoke to to James afterwards about it, and he was saying like, "Oh shit, I had blackmail in my opening hand. I just thought you were bluffing me." It's like huge kind of woo moment of like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Because then I was like, next Astro. I think I was on 4 points within like 3 turns because I was just like, boom, next. And just, I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed NEH and NBN in general. It's like, I think I'm kind of going to go back to them for a little while now. But yeah, it was just like, it just goes to show like with Valencia, just like play it as ballsy as you can, just throw stuff out there and try and score it, because the minute Valencia sees an advancement counter go on a card, that's when blackmail strikes. So it definitely helps to have 3 2s in the deck, or 3 1s as well. That was my ballsy learning from my, well, not past mistakes, but past experience with Valencia. And although it did bite me in the ass when I was like, aha, last turn, biotic labor on this Sansan, and then Astro counter the NAPD. I was like, oh shit, it's going to cost me 5 tokens to advance that. Oh no!
I need to talk about my card of the week.
Oh yeah.
Simple card of the fortnight, simply because I think it's underrated and you don't really see it very much, which is Kitsune.
Oh yeah.
Or Kitsune, which is a mythic ice. It's trap, 2 to res, 3 strength, and the only subroutine on it is the court may choose a card in HQ. The run accesses that card if he or she does trash Kitsune, which is fine. I've seen a lot of people use it for snare purposes, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I used it against a runner who had 1 card, and I forced him to access a Fetal AI.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah, and they were upset with me. They were very upset with me. It's like, oh yeah, this also does damage. Here you go.
And it won't cost me 4.
No, exactly.
No,
have fun.
Kitsune's definitely good. I think my card to highlight this week is probably Pheromones, after it was played on me to such a devastating effect.
I also Snowflake, because it's a very cheap stop the run ice quite a lot of time.
See, I made this joke at the meet, but I really think that all 3 of the Snowflake cards should have been different artwork.
Yeah,
it's just, put a unique Snowflake on each of the 3 copies of Snowflake that you get, rather than just the same copy of Snowflake.
Yeah, it would be maybe that's what we can invest in. Should we invest in some alt art Snowflake cards between me and you?
Yeah, we could do.
Yeah, with all that money we don't have. We should start a Patreon. Anyway, Mark, do the end of the show things that you do so well.
You can check out our website, which is canlaugh.com/nerdrunners, and that gives you all of the Nerdrunners content in that handy-dandy page. Also, we post on Reddit as well, and obviously feel free to kind of comment in the episode posts that we make on Reddit. It's usually tagged with Nerdrunners as well. You can also comment us through the website, which I just mentioned, as canlaugh.com/nerdrunners. There's a nice handy comment form on there. If that's not for you, then we have an email address, which is nerdrunnerspodcast@gmail.com. Again, do love hearing from you guys, whether it's telling us about cards that are underused that you've played and loved, or decks that you think are janky, just janky enough to work, or you want us to have a look at and try and, give some kind of opinion on it, whether it be good or bad. I'm still
give an uninformed, uneducated opinion.
I'm still waiting to hear back from Dan on Norwich Silhouette. I hope it's done well for him. But it was not tested in the slightest. It was just our thoughts on
quite suggestions.
Yes. Maybe you could put forged activation orders in there. Maybe. What else is there? There is Twitter. I'm at Marcus Friend, and Steph is at House of Moose. What else is there? Oh, on Netrunner DB, you can check out our decks. I'll definitely be posting my Quetzal Faust deck on there some point soon. I am at Marcus Friend on there, or just Marcus Friend. There's no at symbol on Netrunner DB. Well, at least in usernames. And Steph is Ryn, which is RYNN. And we don't often plug the show like this at the end, but if you did like it, rate and review us on iTunes, please. It would be quite nice to get some ratings, and it might bump us up in the search a little bit more and help more people find the show. And failing that, or as well as that, why not tell a friend and say, hey, there's this cool Netrunner podcast where these 2 guys talk about amazing janky cards and decks, and they're awesome, and you should totally check it out because I like it, and that's my endorsement.
Considering you did a talk at a convention the other day, I'm genuinely concerned about your future in the games industry.
Yeah.
Anyway, bye guys.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Thanks guys. Bye. that's good.